Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As always, I hope you're having a great time and every day making like inch by inch progress to like really happier and more conscious every day and week and month and eventually your life. So in my previous video where I was mentioning some of the um, funny manifestations, funny in terms of how they ended up manifesting in my life. I also mentioned that next video will be about revision. Revision is, in my opinion, one of best tools that Neville Goddard has spoke about, and also in quite few of his lessons he would say that if he would have to choose only one tool, only one technique from everything that he was lecturing about, it would be revision. So what is revision, how I used it, and how I've been using it seriously on everyday basis, this is this video about. So if you like my content, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss other topics that will come in the next videos. So revision. Oh, I really had to like think how long ago was when I first heard about revision. Please have in mind, I had nobody to ask about it, to hear opinion. Somebody had mentioned Neville Goddard, and that was it. I searched, I read lectures, I listened to lectures, and I don't know, I think it took me at least 6 months to, I was just reading, and my first thoughts were like, oh my God, I cannot believe, is this really true? I can really change my life with, I don't know, this. So first it was just, educating myself. And then, of course, you need to do it, So I decided to revise my childhood. This is how I started. I wouldn't, today when I'm working with clients, this is not something that I advise them to do, to go and revise like entire era of their life. But I'm sharing my experience. Maybe somebody will find value from my personal starting experience, and I will also share with you how I use it today. Okay, so in my very first video where I share my story, you can check it, I explained a little bit about my childhood. So I had a really traumatic childhood, and it wasn't until early 30s when my life like collapsed in all possible areas. So everything was just falling apart, and I really hit rock bottom. That somebody told me, and obviously at that point I was, usually it comes like you say, I have nothing to lose anyway at this point. And I heard, them saying, you should like look into your childhood, what was happening, and deal with that in some way, because up to that point my opinion or my state was that some things happened that was in the past. I don't care, like child's brain anyway makes this like China wall and you don't even remember like specific things. If maybe you had similar I don't know, events, traumatic events, then you can relate. Somebody who did not experience something like that cannot like really understand it. So yeah, in my mind it was like this: if somebody would ask me about, I don't know, something from my childhood, I couldn't remember a thing. Like where we would go, what we would do on, I don't know, the holidays, events, stuff like that. I had no idea. I just, like, I had amnesia. Today I understand why that was happening. It was my brain trying to protect me from me, but actually it wasn't doing me favors, because the triggers were still inside me, and it was showing in my life in the way that, nothing was working. So anyways, the point of revision is to revise, to rewrite, to replace memories of a certain event. So what I did was, at that point, so I realized then, as I started, meditating, taking time for myself in silence, I started remembering specific traumatic events, dialogues, everything to the detail. I could write a script for a movie at that point, from my childhood. And it was very painful and stressful period, because I was crying throughout whole day for quite long period of time, because I was afraid to go to sleep, because I would dream those things. And that's why I decided to use revision. I said, look, I might as well end up in, I don't know, some institution, because I'll go crazy if I don't do something about it. So, I had nothing to lose. And when I was a kid, we used to go to my uncle's, and he was like the big shot, because he had a house. He could afford a house. We were so poor. We had, I spoke about that in the first video, like, we had nothing to eat. We went to charity to get food, to get clothes, all that stuff. But where my uncle lived, across to him, there was this beautiful house made from, those small bricks. It looked like amazing to me. It was just one floor, like really nice house. And the family that lived there, they had 2 girls. They seemed like really happy. And I would see often father playing with daughters outside on the porch, or on the yard. And also he would like bring them, I don't know, snacks, lemonade or some juice, something like that. And many times I would, like, look at that and thought to myself, like, wow, what a cool way to live a life. So 2 decades later, when I was thinking, so it was too many events for me to go and revise each event. I just couldn't. I couldn't see myself doing that. So one time in meditation, it came to my mind, okay, revise the entire childhood, and that image of that house, of that family came, like, to my mind. So I decided to revise, to replace my childhood with that image. So I would go into silence, and I would see myself as being one of those kids. So remember, everything that you are doing, when you are using your imagination, it is very important to do it in first person, not in third person, like seeing it on the screen. Okay, you don't want to do that. You want to see yourself as part of that happening. Okay, so I would see myself as being one of those kids and the others would be my siblings, and that neighbor would be my father. Okay, and he would bring us snacks and stuff like that, and that image would capture for me everything that I wished for when I was a child. So, you know, spending time together, being like in a good energy, in nice environment, having enough to live, you know, living in a house meant for me that, you know, we were not poor. Those girls were always dressed in clothes and shoes that, you know, we were ex-Yugoslavia. You couldn't buy stuff like from the Western countries here. You know, like Levi's, Converse, All Stars were popular very much at that time. Even people who could afford that, they would go across the border to Italy or to Austria and smuggle them back, you know, pair of jeans. Okay, and they had all that, and it was like, so if I were living childhood like that, that for me meant I had everything that I wished for. So I captured everything. And I would say it took me probably, I can't remember exactly because it's like, I don't know, probably 10 years since now, but 2 to 3 months. And I would do it every day, and sometimes I would do it like 2 to 3 times a day. I would quiet my mind, I would go into the silence, and at certain point when I would be like in that state akin to sleep, I would bring that image of me being part of that kind of family life, and just looking for the feeling. Because at the beginning that would be like this, you know, I would go to that state, I would bring the picture, and I would see it like on the screen. I knew that's not the way. You have to be part of it, like first person. So I'm just explaining you the process. It took me some time to even understand inside my body what I'm searching for. Okay, so, and that was the first phase for me, to go from looking on the screen to being first person, part of the situation. Okay, and then I would go, so my mind would be like here in this new life, but my feeling wasn't. How I knew that I have really shifted. And also at the beginning, many times I would cry. I would start crying, you know. So I remember at one point, it was on the news, some big traumatic event that a girl experienced, because for many years she was closed in the basement and so on, like a horrible story. And it was the first time in my life that I was able to listen something like that without having the need to shut it down, to walk away, and without having you know, like really bad emotions in my stomach, in my gut. But I was listening to that story as I would listen any other, you know, news on the TV. And at that point, it was also, that was also, I would say, like outside evidence that I have succeeded in revising my childhood. So, but have in mind, please, my intellect, my conscious mind knows what happened. Just the way my conscious mind knows from history lessons what happened in Auschwitz. I was even there. Horrible things. Okay? But I don't get emotional about it anymore. So I changed my reactions. This is the whole point. And I can talk about it. I can speak about it. Okay? I remembered. So up until then, nobody from my life, besides my partner, now husband, knew anything about what was happening when I was a kid. Nobody. And after I realized I can speak about it, I called my friend and we went to have a lunch, and I told her, because she knew me for many, many years, and you know, she knew my family. And when I told her, she was like, her face went, I don't know, white, gray, all the possible colors. She, you know, just like grabbed the table, because we're at the restaurant. She was like, what are you taking? And I was like, what? So like, what medicines? I was like, nothing. And she was like, there's no way. She couldn't comprehend the you know, the way that I was talking about what was happening to me without having like emotional burst about it. And that's when I realized that I revised my emotions in regards to my childhood. That was my goal. Okay. And even now, you know, if I would be surrounded by, I don't know, group of people, and the subject would come and how was your childhood? I would say it was okay. You know, like normal childhood. And I would get, you can't see it now, but I'm getting goosebumps because I'm in alignment with my GPS. You remember about GPS? I spoke about it. GPS is our guidance. It tells us, are we on the right path for us? Okay. So yeah, and after that, I use revision, and I'm using revision seriously every single day. I will put probably in the comments or in the description Neville Goddard's lecture, Pruning Shears of Revision, so that you can listen and read it by yourself. It's really amazing. How I use it today, just like Neville would encourage us to do every night when I go to bed. So I would relax into the state akin to sleep. And I would go from morning. So first in my mind, I would like see the whole day. And then I would go event by event and revise it. So change it as it happens the way I would like it to happen. But have in mind, it was not meant to use revision to only change events, interactions from bad to good. It's even better and more productive to use it from good to great. Okay, so if something would happen like that, it was okay, I would, in my imagination, relive it as it have happened great. And I would also revise, like yesterday in the previous video, I was talking about you know, manifesting like empty cashier at the store. Let's take a simple everyday example. You go to the store, you want to go to the cashier, there's a long line, long queue, you don't want to wait. In my imagination, I would hear them opening a new line. And let's say it didn't happen. I didn't manifest opening new line, and I had to go stand at the end of the one that is active. So That's really not important thing in my life, right? It's for the sake of playing. But in the evening, when I would be revising my day, I would revise that event in the store as if I manifested empty line. I would revise everything, and I encourage you to do the same, because you get a hang of it, you know, it becomes your habit. And if something during the day happens that I'm aware at that moment that it's not pleasing, I stop, I close my eyes, and I make revision that very instant. Okay, just before I came now to take this video, we were outside. There's so much snow here, like we're having really fun. And my son fell on something because it's snow, and underneath it was rock, and he fell on it, and you know, it hurt him really bad. So after I took care of him, I stopped, I closed my eyes, and I just revised that event as if that hadn't happened, so that I don't have a feelings that I you know, I don't think about it. I don't, you know, think about it in terms of is he gonna have bruise? Do we need to go, I don't know, to the doctors to check it, because it was like really big rock, you know, and it hurt him and he cried a lot. So every time that you are aware at that moment, at the beginning, people are usually, you know, because we're still on autopilot, and we don't even recognize that something unwanted happens to us. That's why you do it before falling asleep for the entire day. But it's even more productive to do it at that very moment when it happened. Neville Goddard shared a story, many stories, but about his friend calling him, asking him for $250,000 for his business, because it was a time of great recession in the early 30s, and you know, the banks were not giving any loans. Everything was like on the edge of the bankruptcy, and he really needed that money because he had bought I don't know, all the machines and everything. And Neville explaining that he said to his friend, okay, so you need that money. You will get that money, but I will do it my way. And he hangs up the phone, Neville, and he explains how he was standing by that phone that long, as long as it took him to revise the entire conversation, hearing his friend telling him good news that he got the money. And it took him some time to, you know, hear his voice explaining his good fortune, how he got the money. And it took a few days, and his friend called him, telling him not only did he get that money, but he met somebody who was really interested in investing extra amount of money in his entire business. So instead of $250,000, don't get me for my word, but I think it was like $500,000 or maybe $600,000, like enormous amount of money for that time. But so he revised the entire conversation at that point. Okay, so use it for everything and anything. In your mind, just relive that event as it had happened, the way you would want it to happen. Yesterday, my son, he's playing volleyball. At his practice, he somehow, as he was trying to save a ball, he fell down and he hit him like pretty bad in his hip. I don't know, the way he fell down. And in the evening, before he went to bed, I was explaining to him how we're gonna revise that jump on the practice. Okay, so the point is, you know, to erase memories of that, because it's not pleasant, and also from preventing that happening in the future. Okay, please share your stories if you are using revision, how you are using it, or if you have specific, I don't know, events, interactions that you would like to revise, and maybe you have tried and you're struggling and it's not working. Write in the comments or anywhere else. You can find me on different platforms, and you know, I can then in one of the future videos go in details on certain cases that you're interested in. But yeah, just use it every day. Every day, what you are reaching for is the emotion, so that your emotional response to certain event is different, is the way you would want it to be. Okay, just one more case I'm gonna share with you because it was really interesting. We were on holidays with our friends, and the last night before leaving tomorrow, our friend noticed he lost his wallet. He came from another side of Europe, you know, a long way from home. All the documents, all the cards, everything was in his wallet. Also his wife's. And it was like pretty stressful. And as they were trying to, you know, like he said, okay, I'm gonna, you know, call the banks, you know, cancel everything and so on. Me and another friend who also knows about revision, that friend was like really taking effort to tell this friend, please just don't cancel cards and everything, you know, it will cost you money, time and so on, and you will find it. We searched everything, hotel room, his room, our rooms, everything, that everywhere that we've been, you know, the bars, the restaurant, we searched like everything. And me and this friend who also knew about revision, we sat in the hotel lobby. At that point, I couldn't find the peace inside myself in that crowd. So I went to the bathroom, to the toilet, and closed myself in. And I was there for, I don't know, quite some time, because I needed some time to calm down, you know, to like, my mind shuts down. And I revised the event. Actually, I heard him saying, I found it, I found it, I found it. And so we went, you know, we also went to dinner that night. And in the morning, as we were checking out of the hotel, you know, I thought of it and I said, I don't feel good about, you know, going home and he still hasn't told us he found his wallet. And we were outside of the hotel, guys, with some other friends, saying goodbye to each other. And almost, you know, we got in the car and then again, you know, oh, you know what, and, you know, discussing some other thing, and again in the car and go and back and forth and back and forth. And as we decided finally, you know, we're gonna leave, that friend shouts from his hotel balcony, hey guys, and he was holding his wallet in his hand, and he was like, hey guys, I got the wallet. And I was like, of course you got it. That's why I had to go back and forth in front of the hotel until you found it. And you know, guess what? He found it in his hotel room where we probably looked like 10 times, you know. But yeah, your imagination is so powerful. Use it the way you want to use it, the way you want to have it. Okay, I wish you all, you know, a great day, and enjoy whatever you are doing. Always have in mind you were meant to be great. Bye, guys.